Welcome, everyone, to another explainer. Now, if you're joining me today, chances are you know exactly what it feels like to ask a child to do something, maybe for the third or fourth time, and get absolutely zero response. It's a deeply relatable, nearly universal frustration, isn't it? You ask, they ignore you. You ask again, still nothing. So inevitably, you raise your voice, and suddenly the whole situation feels 10 times harder than it actually needed to be. Well, today, we're going to look at exactly why this happens and what we can do about it.
So let me ask you directly, why doesn't yelling actually work? When kids don't listen, we tend to assume we just aren't being heard. But here's the thing, yelling doesn't make them hear you better. It usually does the exact opposite. And here is the real secret. It's not because your child is just being difficult, and it's almost certainly not because they're ignoring you on purpose. Most of the time, their brain simply hasn't received your words yet. When we repeat ourselves or speak louder, we think we're increasing clarity, but in reality, we're really just adding noise.
And that leads us to a cycle I know so many caregivers are intimately familiar with. Ask, repeat, yell, regret. It's a completely stuck cycle, and honestly, it leaves everybody feeling awful. We want our kids to listen, for sure, but we definitely don't want to turn every simple request into a battle. Okay, let's dive into this, because there's actually a completely different, scientifically grounded way out of this trap. It's a calm, incredibly practical approach that helps children listen the first time, without threats and without you ever having to raise your voice. Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. Number 1, the cycle and the brain. Number 2, the 5-step solution. Number 3, connect and simplify. Number 4, processing time. And finally, number 5, calm follow-through. Section 1, the cycle and the brain, a paradigm shift. Before we change our behavior, we need a complete shift in how we view what's actually happening inside a child's head when they're just sitting there playing. Now, what's really interesting here is the idea that being deeply engaged in play is like wearing invisible noise-canceling headphones. Think about that for a second. When kids are hyper-focused on play, their brain is literally busy somewhere else. They aren't intentionally putting up a wall of stubbornness to defy you. They are simply unavailable. Their brains haven't even registered your presence, let alone that instruction you just shouted from the kitchen. Understanding this completely changes how we view their lack of response. And it gets even more fascinating when we look at how their memory functions. A child's working memory is a cognitive system that basically functions like a tiny, small whiteboard. You can only write so much on it before everything gets completely erased. So when we overload them with multiple instructions, like, hey, clean up your toys, then wash your hands, change your clothes, and come eat dinner, we completely fill up that tiny whiteboard. The result? The child freezes up, or their brain just dumps the information entirely and they appear to ignore everything. Section 2, the 5-step solution, change your approach. So knowing all this biology about their brains, how do we actually fix it? Let's move from understanding to action. Here is the complete practical framework that's going to replace that yelling cycle with safe, clear, and intentional communication. Step 1, connect before you correct. Step 2, say less, get more. Step 3, the 10-second rule. Step 4, catch them listening. And Step 5, follow through calmly. Let's break these down to see exactly how they play out in real life. Section 3, connect and simplify, set up for success. These first 2 steps are all about setting up the physical and verbal environment so that successful listening is actually possible. Think about the old way we usually do things, talking from across the room while you're busy doing dishes, just assuming your words have magically landed. Contrast that with Step 1, connect before you correct. You move closer, you lower yourself to their level, you gently touch their arm or shoulder, and then you wait for eye contact. That eye contact is the absolutely crucial biological signal that their brain is officially switched from play mode to listening mode. This isn't about being soft, it is about being clear, because without this connection first, your instruction literally never even had a chance. Once you have that connection locked in, you move right to Step 2. Say less, get more. We tend to give these huge, long instructions, but remember that small whiteboard. We have to give fewer words and fewer steps. Just one clear instruction at a time. Make it incredibly specific. Actually, instead of a vague clean up, say, put the blocks in the bin. Less talking absolutely does not mean less authority. In fact, it means much better, highly effective communication. Section 4, processing time, the power of patience. Now, this third step in our framework is often the most surprising one for a lot of caregivers, mainly because it requires a profound amount of patience. So the crucial point is the number 10, the 10-second rule. This step feels so incredibly simple that most of us just skip right past it. But after you give an instruction, a child's brain needs time to catch up. Give the instruction, stay right where you are, and silently count to 10 in your head. Do not repeat, do not remind, do not escalate. Just wait. And the timeline of how this works brilliantly illustrates exactly why we have to wait. At the very first second, you give your clear instruction. Now, a child's brain doesn't just instantly spring into action. It takes about 7 to 10 full seconds to process the words, understand the meaning, and then tell the body what to actually do. Usually, right around the 6th second, the child will start moving. And it's not because they suddenly decided to obey, but because their brain finally caught up. When we interrupt at second 2 or 3 to repeat ourselves louder, we completely interrupt their processing. To their brain, it just feels like extra noise. Sometimes the problem isn't that they won't listen, it's that we literally don't wait long enough for the listening to turn into action. Section 5. Calm follow-through. Handling struggles. So what do we do after they've processed the instruction? And how do we handle those tricky moments when they still struggle? Well, this brings us to step 4, catch them listening. Most of us praise kids with a super generic approach. Good job, nice. And then we wonder why the good behavior doesn't stick. Generic praise feels nice, sure, but specific praise actively teaches the brain what to repeat. Saying something like, I noticed you put your toys away right after I asked. This acts as a direct feedback loop. It clearly tells the brain that listening the first time leads to positive attention.
And finally, step 5, follow through calmly. What happens if you've connected, you've kept it short, you've waited the grueling 10 seconds, and still nothing happens? You stay calm and you stay consistent. You repeat the instruction, but you make it even smaller and simpler. If needed, you physically guide the first movement, literally place their shoes right in their hands. You offer absolutely 0 lectures, 0 threats, and 0 visible frustration. And the second they make a small effort, you praise it. This calm follow-through teaches a powerful lesson. Listening isn't optional, but it is completely safe. Over time, children stop waiting for that angry third request because they learn that the very first request is the real one.
Which leads us to an incredibly vital realization. Control isn't the same as cooperation. Yelling certainly feels powerful in the heat of the moment, doesn't it? It gives us this fleeting illusion that we are somehow in control of the situation. But the reality is, children don't listen better because we get louder. They listen better when they feel connected, when they are entirely clear about what to do, and when they feel safe enough to actually try. True cooperation is built on connection, clarity, and consistency. So, I want to leave you with this provocative question. The next time your child doesn't listen, will you get louder or will you get closer? Remember those invisible noise-canceling headphones. Remember that tiny whiteboard of their working memory. You have the power to change the dynamic here. Say less, give them 10 seconds to process, and follow through calmly. That is how true, lasting listening is built, just one incredibly calm moment at a time. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this empowers you to try a completely new paradigm. See you next time.